No, I'm not offline. Kai? 1,000 Pine Points to Kai. Joe Hinkle, I'm going to give you 500 because I'm not sure if Kai... Yesterday, I gave 1,000 Pine Points to someone who didn't deserve it. I should have given it to, you know who you are. You already have too many Pine Points. But anyhow, this is kind of rude of me, but this is from Trinity Radio's video, which I'm not going to play. In fact, I'm going to mute it. I found the comments more interesting than the video itself. And I'm just imagining a lot of these comments were from young, mostly male, 18 to 22-year-old Christians. I don't know, I shouldn't say this, but that's in my head. And I find some of their comments interesting. The whole response to Christians leaving Christianity, becoming apostates, is more fascinating than the apostasy itself. I guess for those Christians who get kind of sad when they see this happen, why? Like, I'm totally okay with saying, stay a Christian. If it gives you hope, meaning, and purpose, and if you can't imagine living without it, stay a Christian. Can you say that to me? Stay an atheist? I don't think so. That right there speaks volumes. Let me see. Let me check something here first. Yeah, this will be kind of meta. So I have timestamps. If you were in the comment section of this video and I don't mention you or your comment, that means I found you and your comment boring. So the first comment, I think, is 534. Martin Earl, right here, says, I'm agnostic, but these deconversions seem to be planted for influence towards the atheist cause. Yeah. I don't know if we have a mole, but Martin Earl, I think, hit it right on the money. We are in our last atheist meeting in Wichita, Kansas. We were trying to gather up how can we promote all these apostates better and get the most, the atheists are taking the same strategy as Scientology, like they have Tom Cruise. Well, we're using famous artists and entertainers and so forth. And I forget how much we paid John Steingard to leave Christianity and come out and give the announcement he did. I think it was $126,000 he wanted. Yeah. Okay, the next one was at 745. Where is it? By Corti. Let me fast forward a bit here. It's really not abnormal. A lot of these people only focus on how Christianity makes them feel, not doctrinal accuracy. Yeah, this is an interesting comment to me, and I think that's a theme for a lot of Christians watching apostates unfold. It's that it's about feelings and emotions. I thought Christianity's true Christianity was about a relationship with Jesus, which I think includes emotion. Does it not? Like, what good is having a relationship that's between two robots where they're dead inside and they have no feelings, no emotions? Isn't the whole fact that Jesus suffered on the cross to empathize with the sufferings humans go through today? Thank you, Joshua White, for the donation. Stay an atheist or whatever. I don't know. Just let someone convince you to create a Patreon someday. Yeah. Like many Christians, I don't have any good reasons to to believe Patreon is bad. Well, someday maybe I'll have a Patreon account. By the way, Braxton Hunter got a lot of donations, as you'll see in this. But getting back to Corti, it seems like if you are leaving Christianity, it must be for emotional reasons and not for evidential reasons. And I think just like when people hear me say, well, maybe you became a Christian for emotional reasons. If you're going to say that it's bad to leave Christianity for emotional reasons, then say it's bad to become a Christian for emotional reasons. And I think a lot of you Christians out there do say that, and kudos to you, great job. But let's be consistent here. How many times has a Christian gone to a concert or a church service and cried? Crying is caused by an emotion. And experienced the truth, the love, the peace, the calmness of their Lord Jesus Christ. Aren't these all rooted in emotion? And that led one to having a clarity that Christianity is true? I tell you, I've been there. I know what it's like. Hey, Cam, good to see you here. I'm looking at 2 chats now, so this is kind of difficult. Okay, the next timestamp. Oh, by the way, kudos, credit to Camille. You guys know Camille. He said, Doug, you should look at this. The comments. The comments are way more interesting than the video. Okay, the next timestamp. Let's see who else gets noticed here. 1250 something. 1256. Here it is. Oh, Susan Morales. I did a video on her, and she was in this live stream. Susan Morales says down here, these deconversions talk about God as a belief system and not a person they were in a relationship with. Yes, Susan. This gets to what I was just saying about emotion. You know, if Christianity is about this person that you're in relation with, that has to involve emotion, right? So don't poo-poo or don't say that people leave Christianity for emotional reasons. If anything, that's what should have kept them in it. What should keep Christians is emotions with their love, peace, contentment, the personal relationship with Jesus. I don't know about you guys. Like, for me, relationship is very emotional. Like, the times I've cried in my life is because of broken relationships, right? Cam's laughing at me right now because he knows, no, that's not true. PineCreek, you're dead inside. Yeah, that's probably true. Okay, so I'm just letting you Christians know, some of you Christians in this live stream chat, that I'm seeing a little bit of hypocrisy, a little inconsistency. Next comment that I found interesting was at 1536. Yeah, right. Why is it always going right to the bottom? Miguel Benitez Jr. I think this is in part due to feelings driving our thinking. Oh yeah, this is back to that emotional thing. I feel like Christianity is true. I feel like the evidence shows it. I no longer feel that way. The whole time it's rooted in emotion. Yeah, and again, I would just say, little Myron. Like this is fascinating to me. Most Christians today were born and raised in at least somewhat the belief system they currently espouse. Born and raised in it. And most apologists today, when they became Christians, they knew maybe 10% of what they know now, because of course they matured and they grew in their theology and in their historical knowledge about Christianity. So that tells you, if you agree with me on this, that tells me that most Christians become Christians not for deep theological or philosophical or historical reasons. No. It's something else, right? You might not want to call it emotion, but isn't there a little bit of pleasing your parents involved? Isn't there a little bit of believing and pleasing your church community and espousing the beliefs of the people around you? Now, hear me out. I'm not saying emotion is bad. I'm saying if someone leaves Christianity for emotional reasons, at least concede that people enter Christianity for emotional reasons. Because I think that happens. We are emotional animals. I think the science proves that or demonstrates that. Okay, 1827. We have to work so hard to overcome our emotions, our biases. 18. I got so many timestamps here. I gotta check these off. Daniel Izbitsky. I agree, JMD. My atheism was entirely emotional driven. Yeah, that's check. Okay, 1926. Okay, I like John, JMD Apologetics. I go on his live streams once in a while. Not like on camera, but in the live stream chat. Whenever we don't get our own way, we get irrationally angry at God and delude ourselves in doubts because those emotional needs. Whenever we don't get our own way, why did I say this is something to comment on? We get irrationally angry at God and delude ourselves in doubts. So he's equating doubting to delusion. Yeah, maybe it's always good to look at this from the third person perspective. I think most Christians would say doubt is good when you're doubting something that's false, right? Christians want Mormons to doubt in order so that they can see the truth of Jesus Christ. Christians, I think in general, want Muslims, Hindus to doubt. Because if they're so sure in what they believe, why on earth would they have belief revision and find Jesus as the true way? No, they're not. Doubt is, I think, virtuous. Doubt meaning questioning, being open to belief revision, is virtuous in any other worldview other than their own, it seems. Maybe that's what I wanted to say there. Okay, 2050. Benjamin Bethel, right here. Is it bad to listen to secular music if you're a Christian? I'm not sure why I put this one here, but it just brought back memories of the type of Christianity I was raised in. It's like, you got to be in the world, but not of it. And just to hear or see a person, Benjamin, ask that question, is it bad to listen to secular music if you're a Christian? It's like, you got to be careful, Christians of the world, because if you do listen to secular music, it might be an entry point for the God of this world, Satan, to cause these doubts. So, which can cause you to leave Christianity, and leaving Christianity is really, really bad. Why is bad? I think you guys know why. $22.45 timestamp. William Lincoln. Hi, William, if you ever watch this. So he had to wait till he wasn't dependent on the Christian culture to be honest how he felt about the Christian culture. Ooh. So what William is implying here is that because John Steingard made enough money as a famous Christian musician, who I actually have no idea who John Steingard is or was, he's saying that, now that he's made his money, now he can be honest and say he really didn't believe it. I think that's going a little far. Isn't it reasonable that just some people change their minds? And some of these people happen to be famous and make money at it? I would guess, I don't know, is this fair? I would guess 10% of every pastor behind a pulpit has significant doubts of what they believe. But that's the only thing they know how to do. Should they stop? Should they put their family in jeopardy? Okay, 23:27. If you stop believing, you shouldn't espouse belief. I don't know why I said that one. That's nothing important there. 25:18. Oh, yes, Pedro asked a great question. I thought people could lose their salvation. No? I think this is in response from a comment that said that you can't lose your salvation, so John Steingard was never a true Christian to begin with. I thought people could lose their salvation. No? That is a great, great question. If you are in the Lamb's Book of Life before the creation of the universe, if God's knowledge precedes your choices, then no, you can't lose your salvation. So don't worry, Christians. This John guy probably was never a Christian to begin with. Because remember, God chooses you. You don't choose God. But you do choose God. But then God chooses you. But God chooses you first because he chooses you before you were born and even made a choice because your choice doesn't exist yet. But he knew what you would choose even though you don't exist yet. Okay. I'm sure a Molinist can, or someone who believes in middle knowledge can help me with that one. I guess this is a response to Pedro 26:18. Pedro, either you are a saint or you ain't. I think I like Smidley there for that rhyme. I like that. You're either a saint or you ain't. And by saint, he means Christian, a sinner saved by grace, right? He doesn't mean that Christians are perfect or anything like that. That would be silly. In fact, Christians are probably the most scummy people of the earth, according to the Bible. You know, God chooses the weakest often. Oh, I shouldn't have used the word scummy, right? That's bad. I apologize. But it's true. Look at David. A man in the Old Testament who God loved. He was like a murderer and an adulterer, and he was really scumbag. But God loved him and chose him. Daniel at 27:34 says, Daniel Izbitsky, we should test our beliefs. If our beliefs are based on evidence, we will be less likely to be influenced by our emotions. Yes, I agree with that. And so maybe to help the Christian to not get emotional is to have this perspective about Jesus. Remember, Jesus is about a personal relationship and all that sort of thing. Try for an hour to not care about Jesus. No love. You don't hate either, but just like you're a robot. Imagine you're a robot coming from a different planet. You have no clue about the earthly religions, specifically Christianity, and you're a robot with tremendous computing power, and you can look at all the evidence for and against and make a completely objective opinion. Christians, do you think an emotionally dead robot coming from another planet, AI, would look at the evidence for the resurrection and conclude that it happened? Really? I'm hearing some Christians yell, yes. Well, this is where I would disagree. I'd say no. I would say a emotionally dead robot coming from a different planet with no biases, no former history, looks at all the evidence for Christianity. In my opinion, that robot would say, nope, there's not sufficient evidence to say Christianity is true. Okay, next one is 3056. Look at all the money pouring into Braxton. Good for you, Braxton. I'm a capitalist. Make your money. 3056, Volcanic 47. Any advice on how to respond to atheists who ask for and require demonstrative evidence for God? That's a good question. What advice would I give? I love this. When an atheist asks for demonstrative evidence for God, what they're really asking for is empirical evidence for God. And I could be wrong about this, but I've heard some Christians say that you can't, that's the wrong tool. Demonstrative empirical evidence is the wrong way to arriving at the knowledge that God's real and that Christianity is true and all these sort of things. It just doesn't work. I've heard a lot of Christians admit that. You can't put God in a test tube. So my advice, if you're a Christian, you hear an atheist say something like, show me the evidence, and what they mean by that is empirical most of the time. Show me the empirical, the demonstrative evidence for God. You as a Christian should say, there is none. Have a good day. Turn around and walk away. Oh man, if you can do that, it would show that you're so secure in your beliefs that you can say that there's no empirical evidence for God or for Christianity. Well, you might say the historical method, but for God at least, if you could say, you're right, there's no empirical evidence for God, and just turn around and walk away, man, I tell you, you got big cojones. Like, you'd earn atheists' respect. It's like, that guy's not scared to be perceived as maybe a little stupid. Of course, you could ask other things. You could not turn around and walk away, but you could say, well, do we need empirical evidence for all our things that we know to be true? That'd be a good response as well. But yeah, I think just agreeing with the atheist and walking away. Like, remember, philosophical arguments are not empirical evidence, right? And I've heard many Christians admit, without these philosophical arguments, like the Kalam cosmological argument, sure, it's based on the Big Bang having a beginning and so forth. But beyond that, you can't make that leap from everything the cosmos began to, and therefore, and a God must have done it of a certain nature, sufficiently powerful enough and so forth. You can't show that empirically. Neither could the atheists show that it didn't happen either. This is just walk away and say, sorry, I can't. Okay, next timestamp, 32:45. Let's see who I picked on here. Cause and effect must be an atheist. Atheism supports subjective relative morality. Oh, probably not an atheist. Criminals actualize atheist... What? Criminals actualize atheist morality? What does that mean? Is he saying what I think he's saying? That if you're an atheist, you're more likely to be a criminal? No, he can't be saying that, can he? Because per capita, there's more believers in God in jail than atheists. If you want a better society with less crime, you become an atheist, right? Oh. Atheism supports subjective relative morality. I would say some atheists would say that. Some atheists would say there's objective morality, but not caused by a God or sourced by a God, however you want to put it. Many atheists would say it's both. But Christians, some of you believe in relative morality, right? What's that? You don't? No, you do. Yes, you do. You support subjective relative morality. With relative morality, meaning that the context is important. Like, before I go to the Old Testament, which is like low-hanging fruit, Westworld, it's a great show on HBO. They have like robots that look just like humans. Some have gained consciousness, some not. Okay, so you're a Christian and you're in Westworld. You're in Westworld, but you don't know who the humans are and you don't know who the robots are. Okay, you're walking along the street. Question: you see a person take a long knife and they stab another person in the chest. The person falls down, blood everywhere, looks like they're dead. Let's say they are dead. Question: have they done something wrong? Has the person with the knife done something wrong? And if so, what is it? Well, the Christian would say, most people would say, yeah, they murdered this person. Okay, but then later on you find out that, it wasn't a person, it was a robot that looks almost exactly like a person, would pass the Turing test. So question, is this murder or is this property damage? You see how the morality of that situation changes with more information? And it depends on the context. The context is a world where robots look just like humans, can pass the Turing test. Doesn't context matter? If you're a Christian, you say yes, then you, I think, do believe in subjective relative morality. Is it always, 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 always wrong, no matter the time in history, the place in history, who it is, what culture you're from? Is it always, always wrong to stone the practicing homosexual? If you're a Christian, Bible-believing Christian, like these, like Braxton Hunter, you would have to say, no, it's not always wrong. If it's in a certain time in history, in fact, it'd be wrong not to stone the practicing homosexual. But now in recent history, it is wrong to stone the practicing homosexual. Same act, stoning a homosexual, practicing homosexual, but depending on the context, the time in history, the culture you're in. If you agree with what I just said, Christian, you agree with relative morality. Okay, let's go to, we're going to skip far ahead here. 5002. Oh, Susan Morales again. Hi, Susan, if you watch this. Nothing wrong with having questions as a Christian. What's wrong is not to seek the answers and just conclude God is not real. Nothing wrong with having questions. I agree with that. What's wrong is not to seek the answers and just conclude God is not real. Yeah, I would say that most people who leave Christianity, and I'll use the word most, don't conclude God is not real. They don't say that. And if you're a Christian who thinks that most do say that, I think you're wrong. I think it takes faith to say God is not real, just like it takes, sorry, I used the wrong word. Faith, yeah, sorry. Scratch that from the record, because faith can mean so many different things. You cannot, I would say it'd be unwise to be so certain that God is not real as it is God is real. There could be a God out there that just hasn't revealed itself. Not the God of the Bible, a different God, so forth. So most atheists who were former Christians, I don't think say God is not real. They just don't believe that there's any reason to think there is a God out there. And the other point I was going to make about this is when you seek answers, also seek answers from people or from points of view that make you anxious, that make you depressed, that make you sad. I don't know how more strongly to put it. That make you uncomfortable. If it makes you happy, the answers you're getting, that's a red flag. If you're coming from a deeply held belief and you're not seeking, and you're in the stage of cognitive dissonance and you're doubting, and then you seek answers, if you're only seeking answers from people who come from that belief system, i.e. apologists or pastors or historians that are Christians, that's going to make you feel good again, right? My advice is do the opposite. Purposely try to make yourself feel bad and just embrace it. It's like, I don't know, maybe I'm just, because I was raised on a farm and I like to suffer, I don't know. 5103. Sorry, I'm not looking at my live stream chat right now. I'm having too much fun here. I'll look at it soon. 5103 from Nathan Burgett. I would really question the church he was going to if he has basic answers missing. Answers are available, though he didn't either seek them out or is trying to rationalize what he was doing. Yeah, right back at you. Do Christians rationalize what they believe and what they do within Christianity? Of course they do. The question is, how do we minimize these rationalizations? How do we minimize our biases? Where do we go when we're seeking answers? Why is it so bad to leave Christianity in the first place? Why not treasure this doubt and make it your friend? But this is interesting, the first comment. I would really question the church he was going to. Christianity has dropped in the United States tremendously in the past 20 years. I guess what Nathan's saying is that the Christian church in the United States and probably other places in the world are just failing. I think most Christians would agree with that. They're failing badly. So my advice is stop it. Get better. More apologetics. Whatever you're doing now in apologetics, triple it. Tenfold it. Revivals. I don't know. Keep going. Do whatever. And the reason why I can say that is, as an atheist, is you're going to find out it's not going to help. Is that too harsh? In fact, I think it's going to make it worse. If you want to keep people from leaving Christianity, like I did on my video yesterday, you might have a chance of hope of salvaging it if you promote progressive type Christianity. Maybe then. Just keep it really fuzzy. 5115. At Trinity Radio, would you guys agree that people who deconvert from Christianity should be able to refute and offer better explanations for the resurrection and their arguments for God's existence? That's a great question, Jose Martinez. Would you guys agree that people who deconvert from Christianity should be able to refute it? What he's really asking is, do you think people who leave Christianity should prove it's false in order to leave it? Should they be able to give reasons why it's false? Give evidence for why it's false? It's sort of like my flying man example, thought experiment. If I say my great-great-great-great-grandfather could fly, in order for you to, let's say you initially believe that, in order to leave, does someone need to actually provide evidence why my great-great-great-great-grandfather didn't fly? Or is it okay? Can one leave a deeply held belief because they simply doubt that it's true? I think if you're a Christian and you can view this in terms of otherworld beliefs, do you have to prove that the Buddha or certain Hindu gods didn't do this or didn't do that or didn't say this or are not real? Can't the Hindu just say, you know what, I'm starting to doubt. I really question whether any of this is true. Maybe Jesus is the real deal. Wouldn't you want the Hindu to say that? Just have enough questions and doubts that they can just say, I doubt through. I'm going to leave it. Instead of, okay, here's the evidence that Hindu didn't do this and didn't say that and blah, blah, blah. It's just this whole perspective of where you're starting at. If you're a Christian, you want, no, you should not leave Christianity until you have proof that it's false. No. If you think like that, in my opinion, you're flat out wrong. And it's dangerous to think that way, that you have to believe certain things. You have to believe it until proven false. You can suspend your judgment, number one. Number two, you can just doubt enough that you're not compelled to believe it. Okay, 5148. Axpeer. When I see a person who deconverts and only has consulted friends and pastors, not scholarship and academy level discussion, I die inside a little bit. Yes, I know exactly what you mean, Axpeer. That when I see Christians who doubt and they only consult their Christian friends and their Christian pastors and not scholarship and academy level discussion, I also die inside a little bit. Okay, 5244. There it is. Eden says, considering how atheists have stopped trying to offer counter-explanations for the resurrection. Yeah, this is a response to the other comment. You got to remember that most atheists, most non-Christians, you shouldn't even use the word atheist, just non-Christians, most in the world don't believe it's true. It's 5 billion people on the planet don't believe it's true. And they find Christianity to be irrelevant. I don't know how forcefully I can say this. Christians, what you hold dear in your heart, most people in the world don't care about. They don't care about your relationship with Jesus. I think you agree with this. It's irrelevant. Your theologies, your philosophies, what gives you hope, meaning, and purpose, I'm here to tell you, most people on the planet couldn't care less. They do not care about you and your beliefs. So when you say things like you need to offer counter explanations, well, a simple answer to that is they don't care. Now, the people who used to be Christian and left, most of them, I think, will care. Hey, thank you, Michelle Eggleston. What is better than Applebee's? That's a good question. I do go to the Outback Steakhouse. My kids like the wings there. Chili's once in a while. I really like Asian food, but not just any Asian food. But anyhow, I digress. Thank you for the donation. Like, for example, since I'm a former Christian, professing for the Calvinists listening, to me, the counter explanation for the resurrection is that what we have here is a small group of people who had this hero named Jesus, who died, who maybe predicted his resurrection, maybe not, but anyhow, they were grief-stricken. They used the Old Testament as a template to create a new narrative based on their hero, Jesus. They were expecting something else. They were expecting the return. All these things didn't happen. And so 1, 2, or 3 of them had either visions or experiences or saw something that they misattributed to Christ. And it grew from there. And that probably, in my opinion, 80 to 90% of the Gospels is not historical. And that the creed in 1 Corinthians 15 is a set of beliefs. That doesn't mean it happened. The 500 witnesses, just because it says it doesn't mean it happened. And even if it did happen, I tell you, do you believe the reports of 500 people seeing certain things in history? Like, there's many examples in history, like the Roman Catholics have, something in the sky happen or whatever. I think most Christians don't believe that, at least not the Protestant ones. So anyhow, it's okay to doubt this. 5332. 5332, where are you? There you are. Maverick Christian says the church doesn't really, by and large, have a big apologetics thing. Yes, we need to change that, Maverick Christian. We need to get more apologetics. And I actually think that the more apologetics you have, the more Christians will leave. I know Christians disagree with that, and you can disagree with me. That's fine. 5512. God doesn't bet he knows everything. Oh, yeah. The reason why I brought this one up, they were talking about the Job and, God and Satan having a bet if Job would fold under pressure. And that's the point of this, what I was getting at here, is he knows everything. A lot of Christians would not agree with that God knows everything. They might say that God knows everything that's knowable. Christians, how you would say, some of you Christians would say, God's omnipotent. He can do anything that's possible to do that doesn't go against his nature. Most Christians would say God cannot sin, right? So he can't do everything. Or they would say he can, but he chooses not to. Well, maybe you take that concept with omnipotence and apply it to omniscience. Maybe God doesn't know everything. Or maybe he could, but he chooses not to. It's very easy for Christians to accept the omnipotence part of what I just said. But when it comes to the omniscient part, it's like, no, can't go there. except for the open theists. They're more than happy to go there. And I actually agree with the open theists that it's more biblical, especially in the Old Testament, that God cannot see or know everything. Hey, Michelle, again, $28. What are you doing to me? Then hopefully this contributes to Outback, not just any Asian or something else that gives you joy. Thank you for what you do. Hey, I really appreciate it. That was very kind of you. Okay, 107.19. I bet you some of these people in this live stream chat on Braxton Hunter's channel, they say, hey, I made it on PineCreek's channel. 107.19. Oh. Kelvy Quayo. Oh. This is very sad. This person must have been living a desolate wasteland of Bible teaching. Yes. If only the church would do what it's supposed to do. For guys like Kelvy Quayo, do you think there are people on this planet, Kelvy Quayo, who know the historical, theological, and philosophical reasons for God better than you do and are still not Christians? What's that? Yes, he actually agrees with me that there are people out there like that who know more about Christianity than he does and still reject it. Why? Why, Kelvy Quayo? Why do they reject it? Because they have free will. But yeah, you had free will and he has free will, but why do you think you accepted it and he didn't? In fact, he knows more about Christianity than you do, Kelvy Quayo, but he's rejected it. What's going on here? Oh, spiritual battle. Yeah, I get that. And stubbornness, hard heart, yep. Anything else? God, maybe Calvinism is true? Oh, yeah, that could be. This is so much fun. Hey, thank you, Tony D. Again, Outback, $10. Okay, sold. Hey, Nikki, we're going to Outback. Tony D and Michelle gave us money to go to Outback. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Well, I don't know. Michelle and Tony, do we have to go today? People in my live stream chat giving money for... I'm live right now. But we can go to Outback today if you want.
Well, I think Mom was going to bring something home for me.
Oh, yeah. Can we even go into Outback?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, we'll figure that out later. But anyhow, say thank you to Michelle and Tony and oh, I'm probably missing someone else. Can you say thank you? Yeah, say thank you.
Thank you.
There. I don't know if you could hear that. Okay. We're almost done. 118. Oh, no. 109.44. I wanted to say something here. This is important. 109.44. Susan again. Susan, I must like you. 109.44. His church seemed to be described as a very community-focused signs and wonders. Now remember, Susan Morales here is talking about John Steingard's church, and he left Christianity, and it seems like she's giving, like this is a bad thing, that his church seemed to be described as a very community-focused signs and wonders, like this is a bad thing. Susan Morales, you're describing the early church in the book of Acts. Community-focused signs and wonders. Now, I'm not sure if you're poo-pooing this and saying that they didn't have enough intellectual and theological and apologetical meat on the bone. I'm not sure if you're saying that or not, but it sure sounds like it to me. But if you're going to poo-poo John Steingard's church, of where he came from, for being too community-focused, too signs and wonders, and not enough meat, then I think you need to poo-poo the church in Acts. You know, the one that Jesus' followers went to? It's not a place, it's a people, right? Okay. 11843. Oh, Axpear again. You're my favorite too. If your view of inerrancy is proven wrong, then choose another view of inerrancy. Is this guy a real Christian? Or is he just like throwing me a softball so I can just hit it out of the park? It's like, look, we got a buffet of theologies here. We got a buffet of, we got a plate, like a dessert plate. And you could, like, you can choose inerrancy, or you can choose like most of it's true in the gist, or you can, it's inspired but not dictation. You just choose what you want to believe here. So if you are John Steingard and you had this view of what the Bible really is and that it's inerrant, and if you start to doubt that, well, just take that dessert and put it in the corner. We have a different one here for you that you don't have to, we've got minimal facts over here that you can choose, and it's just about the resurrection. Because if Jesus rose from the dead, then Christianity is true, right? And if Gabriel talked to Muhammad in a cave, then Islam is true. And if Jesus appeared and Moroni appeared to Joseph Smith in Mormonism, then Mormonism's true. So we just use that, and so you can choose that as your view of Scripture. Or you could take the Michael Licona view and say, the gist is all right. Sure, there's errors and there's some things that can't be harmonized, but the basics is there. Like, you can choose that dessert. So I agree with Axpear here that, if you start to doubt one theology, just move to another. But for goodness sake, don't leave Christianity, because okay, 121:48. Pedro again. Hey, Pedro, if you watch this, I like you. So basically, what led him out of Christianity is questions that are not answered, even though he has internet, doesn't get God's justice, thinks the Bible has an error, even though the rest is true. Yeah, it's similar to what I just said. If only John Steingard would have gotten more knowledge and got answers. Let's not forget that Mormons have questions too, and they use the internet to get answers as well. And the flat earthers. Okay, last one. 132:24. And then I'll focus on the comments for a little bit in my live stream chat. I'm having fun. Oh, yeah, I've talked to this guy via live stream chat on JMD's channel. The Unapologetic Apologists. He should have talked to fellow Christian singer Jason Gray. He writes, "It's gotta be more like falling in love than something to believe in, more like losing my heart than giving my allegiance." Yeah, see, this is a very important comment, because if people leave Christianity for emotional reasons, and you got guys like the Unapologetic Apologists saying that if you fall in love with Jesus, that is more than something to believe in, that when you're giving your heart to this deity in relationship, how can you leave that? But isn't that all emotion? Or most of it? Hey, thank you for the donation, Jesus Muhammad. Take what you want, but eat what you take. Oh, you know what? That's a very Mennonite thing to say. It was a sin in my family growing up to throw food away. In fact, I'd rather become obese than let my kids throw food away. Like, I'll eat that food. And actually, when I was a kid, my parents forced me to eat it, even if I didn't like it. So... But there was, I think I missed one. But there was one in here where JMD Apologetics said that he severely doubted. Maybe I mentioned it, but I'll say it again just in case. That in the last couple of months, he, in fact, let me bring it up in a different spot. In the last couple of months, he's really doubted. And but he thinks it's all for emotional reasons. When you have cognitive dissonance, that's your mind's way, your brain's way of saying something's not right. Maybe double check. maybe recompute. There's a, what's the word? A glitch. There's a glitch in the matrix. When you have these feelings, so when you say it's just emotional, well, yeah, you can call it emotional, but it could actually lead you away or towards something that's more likely to be true. So instead of saying, oh, this is just my selfish emotions, no, maybe it's actually something inside you saying, what you believe is probably wrong, do yourself a favor and leave it. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is. 1749. Did I mention that? Yeah, I think I did. It's all emotion. I've highly doubted God 2 times in the past 3 months. It's always emotion. We give ourselves hope and put emotion needs above God. That's the major root of doubt. Yeah, it's almost like the spirit, the devil of deception, the devil of doubt, the spirit of like this emotion is such a bad thing. Well, I guess for the Christian, say, yeah, it is a bad thing if it leads you away from Christ, and emotions are a good thing if it leads you toward it. It's sort of that special pleading deal. Okay. Let me focus in on the chat. If there's any Christians here who disagreed with anything I had to say or have something to say. Nathan, welcome. You just got here. You're late. Go stand in the corner. Thanks for saving me from the insanity. Hey, thank you, Chad. I try to look good. I'm almost 50. But I got more energy than you flag-waving phonies out there. I got the passion, the desire, and a high T count. Hey, 10 star. Okay, I'll sign you up. Thank you, Joshua White, again for $8.99. Bloomin' Onion. Bloomin' Onion? Yeah. Sometimes it's free at the Outback. Oh, and Tony D. Another more money for, pool pump. I'll spend that on pool pump. Brian Stevens, Craig Reed has been on my stream before, and I think I broke him. I think something snapped. Iron Chair Tier says, most young Christians think disobeying their parents is being an atheist. That's why most say, I used to be an atheist. Yeah, you could be right, but I'll give them a little more credit than that. But there is something to be said about pleasing mommy and daddy, pleasing your uncles, pleasing your church, pleasing the men of God, the men in cloth who stand behind the pulpit and preach from the inspiration of God's word and the Spirit in their lives. If you're a young Christian, you don't want to disappoint those people. And if you're older and you're married, you don't want to disappoint your spouse. But I say, if you value truth so much, you're willing to actually have your spouse cry if they disagree with your choice. And my wife did cry. But I don't cry when she goes to church. I support her going to church, actually. Maybe not now because of the coronavirus, but because I see that it gives her meaning and purpose and community. I really mean what I said before when I said that with many Christians, I have said, stay a Christian. But I have never seen a Christian say to me or anyone else, stay an atheist. And to me, that speaks volumes. But for the Christians who might be listening, who do have doubts, who do question that is true, for Christians who have this cognitive dissonance, who actually are in pain when they go to bed at night, that they have this fear or doubt, or whatever you want to call it, anxiety. I'm here for those Christians. And I'm telling you, it's okay to doubt. It's all right. You'll be fine. In fact, a lot of Christians don't even believe there's a hell. The Jews didn't believe there was eternal conscious torment. So really, if you think about the worst case scenario, Christians who have this cognitive dissonance, who doubt, JMD, I'm talking to you. If you severely doubt in the last couple of months, it's okay. You'll be fine. Yeah, when it comes to spouses, it's not like I'm purposely trying to hurt my wife by leaving Christianity. I just can't force myself to believe it. And there will be times when spouses will disappoint each other greatly. There will be times when spouses will make each other cry because of this disappointment. But I think in those situations, that's the time where you learn to become a stronger person. And say, okay, yes, my spouse believes this, or my spouse did that I disagree with. Now, of course, there's going to be deal breakers. But I don't think... Okay, we're getting serious now. I don't think... from the Christian point of view, me becoming an atheist is not a deal breaker in a marriage. From the Christian point of view, it actually says in the Bible, you do not leave the disbelieving spouse. And from my point of view, the non-Christian point of view, you don't leave your spouse just because you have different worldviews. Now, would I say you marry someone who has a different worldview than yours, a different religion than yours? I'd say probably not. There's a lot of fish in the sea. Why make life harder than it already is? So in that way, I agree with the Christians to not be unequally yoked. Nathan, it was my understanding there would be no math during this live stream. Brendan Ho asked, did your political views significantly change upon the deconversion? Mine are slowly changing. Yeah, I think they changed a bit. If you were to say from right to a little less right. But I think a lot of my political beliefs stem from how I was raised on a farm more so than my religion. So I have that whole, pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality ingrained in me since I was a baby. And this whole idea that it's easier to change yourself before a society. So just like Michael Jackson said, you look that man in the mirror, look at the man in the mirror, something like that. No iron chair here. I'm quite convinced my wife really believes it. I recently asked my wife if she still believes in eternal conscious torment, and she said yes. I'm like, I feel bad for her because she either has to believe that I will change my mind at some point, or that I am a true Christian, will still go to heaven, or she has to believe her own spouse will spend eternity in torment. Like, why do that to yourself? Poof. My apologies to all the people I commented on in Braxton's live stream chat. I was going to have them all lined up and have them defend themselves, but we ran out of time. Thank you for all the donations. I tell you, this has been... I do this YouTube channel for my own entertainment, and I was definitely entertained reading these live stream comments, both on Braxton's channel and my own. Thank you again, Jesus Muhammad Eggs. Thanks for saying the precept stuff. Oh, that was you? You're very, very welcome. Have a great day, guys. Stay safe and we'll see you next time.